Hi there, and welcome to this demo video of the online learning environment of the Spanish Corpus Adaptation Project, or SCAP, for Spanish as a foreign language. The starting point of the environment are corpora, which have been pre-tokenized, part-of-speech tagged, and lemmatized. The environment consists of three main sections: consultar, in which the corpora can be consulted; aprender, in which language learning exercises, resources can be created, for example, fill the gap exercises or glossaries. And then finally, a colaborar section in which interactive exercises are offered. All right, let's start with consulting one of the corpora. Are we going to, first of all, generate a lemma list? Here we have a list of the available corpora within the SCAP project of a variety of domains: economics, fiction, migration, health, tourism, etc. In this demo, we will select this corpus. This economic corpus contains around 10 million words and represents a collection of economic newspaper articles. All right, here we're going to define the information we want to include for each lemma in our corpus, each lemma in our list. So we want the difficulty level, frequency category, and also the specificity of each lemma, or the typicality. And this is a score which will compare the frequency of the lemmas in our corpus, our study corpus, with the frequency of those lemmas in a larger reference corpus, more general corpus. And in this demo, we will select a corpus on youth literature as our reference corpus. All right, let's generate the lemma list, which will be in a spreadsheet format. And here we are. All right, first of all, you can see that the part of speech tagging has had its effect here. We have a sorted file in separate sheets according to each relevant, which means that it's a part of speech tag of content words. Separate sheets for each category. So we have the nouns, verbs, adjectives, a specific subcategory of adjectives which have been derived from verbs, and then adverbs. In this demo, we're going to stick to the nouns. So, okay, this is the full list of lemmas, but of course, we want to filter, customize this list to our needs. So let's suppose we're in a language for specific purposes class on economics, right? We're working with a economic corpus. The level we want to require is C1, for example, and we're only interested in typical words for our domain, typical and frequent words for our domain. Let's start with indicating the difficulty level we're interested in, so C1. Then here in the frequency column, let's say we only keep words which have a very high or high frequency. And then here in the last column, the typicality score, we're going to rank this column from highest to lowest. By the way, this score is the result of applying the log ratio formula. And well, to explain the value here, I'm going to the score of 1, which is easy to interpret. So a score of 1 means that this particular item is twice as frequent, twice as typical for our corpus, for our economic study corpus, compared to the large reference corpus, in this case, a corpus on youth literature texts. All right, so now we have our customized lemma list. So we have here at the top what we can assume to be typical words for the economic domain, frequent words as well, and only words for C1 level, which have C1 level. And when having a look at the top of our list here, well, indeed, they are words which have a clear link with economics, with business. So great, we have our selection of words here. So let's say we want to work with, well, these top words, top keywords. Let's select them and let's copy them. And now go back to our learning environment to generate exercises, resources for those selection, for that selection of words. That can be done in the Aprender section. We'll start with generating a glossary. Here we select selección propia, which means that we're going to introduce our own selection of words into the online interface. Click on the button and here we are, the file is already generated. Let's have a look. So what do we have? All right, here we have our items, our lemmas, then body speech with some additional information if it's a masculine or a feminine word. Then in this column we have a verified translation, and in the last column some other suggestions taken from a variety of online sources, but these translations have not been checked, have not been verified. So starting from our raw lemma list, which we have filtered, customized according to our needs, we can now already generate a glossary containing translations. Right, let's go a little bit further. Let's go back to our online learning environment. So both the lemma list and the glossary contains words in isolation. Now we have the translation, but they are still words in isolation. So it will be interesting to see some authentic context, and this is one of the great advantages of working with corpora. You can collect large sets of authentic data and then use that data in the learning environment, extract that data from your corpora to present in your exercises, in your learning materials. So we're going to look for some relevant usage examples. We're going to copy the same selection of lemmas here. We want to extract sentences from our corpus, from our economic corpus. Let's say we want 4 different example sentences for each of those items here, and then the minimal sentence length can be put to 8, maximum length to 30, and then a range of 1 to 5 verbs in our sentence. That's fine as well. All right, we'll generate the file. So the application is now extracting the sentences from the corpus, applying the criteria we've entered, the criteria we've entered. Let's download the file. Oh, wait a minute, and here it is. All right, so what do we have here now? Again, we see each word from our selection of lemmas with a translation, so the translation taken from the glossary next to it, and then as we've asked, 4 example sentences with the target item underlined, well, showing how this word is used in authentic contexts. So we have here the other words, so you get the gist of it every time for example sentences. So now we have in context examples of the words we are studying. All right, but still that's a resource. As a language student, you want to make exercises as well. So that's what we're going to do next. Back to the appended section. And now we're going to generate a rellenar huecos or fill the gap exercise. Same selection of lemmas, same corpus. Let's say this time, for example, 2 sentences for each item. We're going to leave these criteria as they are. And then here we can select which help we want from the tool. So we can choose to select if a translation is given for each sentence, for each word which has to be filled in a sentence, the first letter of the word which has to be filled in, and we can also choose if we want the list of lemmas which have to be filled in the sentences below is shown or not. It will all become clear when the file is generated, so let's just do that. Again, file is generated on the fly. We can download it. We'll open the file. And here we are. So this is as we've selected the list of lemmas. So these items will have to be filled in the following exercise. And then again, the first letter of the item to be filled in is given as an additional help, additional tip, and also the translation here between brackets after the sentence. So now we can actively work on those words, study those words in a actual fill the gap exercise generated automatically by the learning environment. And importantly, at the bottom we have the solutions as well, so you can check if your answers, what you've filled in, is actually correct. All right, so that was generating resources, generating exercises, and a final functionality of the learning environment resides here, again in the consultar section, where we can now search for relevant constructions, collocations, etc., based on a query we define. So again, we're going to pick our economic corpus as our source, and now we can define a specific query. Let's go back to our lemma list. Let's say for the lemma bono, we are interested in which verb is combined with this. So to bono means bond, obligation. So which verb is used to express that a bond is given by a certain institution. Let's have a look. So how do we do that? We are looking for the lemma bono. We also want to report the lemma in our final result. And then we want to see which verb, so the part of speech category verb, is frequently combined with bono. We also want to report the verb in our final result. So here we want to select that within a distance of 5 we're looking, so to the left or to the right of the words bono. And here we're going to introduce the same criteria as we did for the sentences a few moments ago. So here we go, and we'll see what the result will be. Again, in a spreadsheet, And here we have the number. So bono frequently co-occurs with the verb emitir 41 times. So the top candidate here. Also colocar, vencer, which is another meaning. So not to give the bond, but when it expires. So that's here in the tab in the sheet overview. And then we can also actually see authentic examples again, examples again in the data sheet. So here we're going to zoom in first and then select as our lemma emitir, which was the top candidate. All right. Here we can see exactly emite bonos, emitió bonos, los bonos se emitirán. Right, so that's a frequent, it's a collocation, so bono is frequently combined with emitir, and we have some authentic examples here. All right, in a nutshell, that was what the learning environment of SCAP has to offer.